Do not adjust your screen. The following demo will have you seeing red. How is everyone? We're going to continue our watercolor paintings with layer 2, which will be done in alizarin crimson, most likely.
I took my own advice, and after I finished painting the first layer, I left the room. And I didn't actually see what this looked like until, I think, this morning, or maybe yesterday, but I was pretty surprised. I think you'll always be surprised when you allow the watercolor to do what it's supposed to. But there were things, I think even the last demo, the last thing I said was you'll see colloidal dispersion down here, which you do, but I'm really surprised at how dark this ended up, which I guess is going to have to be fine. So, slide my paint in here. I wonder if part of that was that I was not using the Cotman paints that we're using in class. I was using the real stuff. So, I don't know. Maybe that was a little heavier. But I can make as many excuses as I want for what happened. But the main thing is to embrace whatever happy accidents happened on the first layer and allow those to carry through in your subsequent layers. So, I don't know why I'm activating my entire palette. It's force of habit. I think, for the most part, you're going to do layer 2 with alizarin crimson. That's my recommendation. I think that red makes a wonderful mid-tone, and in this case, you want to start to increase some saturation and establish a sense of mid-tone. I think if you were to use cadmium red, it's so heavy because of the cadmium, I think it would overwhelm everything. But alizarin crimson is a nice, airy, saturated, vibrant color that I think will serve as a nice mid-tone. So let's go with that. Essentially, with my crude photo reference here, what I want to establish is more clarity and more of a sense of bridging of the gaps. As this was drying, I noticed that I should have had a little more shadow in here, probably with the lighter purple. And the whites of my eyes are really strong. But all of those things will kind of come into place later. I do, in the meantime, want to keep all of the whites that I have, because otherwise, if I get too carried away, I'll never get them back. So it's kind of scary to start this. Essentially, what I would recommend is that you begin at the top, like up in the hair, work your way down when you're using a color. That way, oh, it's good already. That way, you're going to have unification. What I'm essentially doing here is working wet on dry, and I want to indicate some definition on the hair, but if you notice, I mean, I deleted a lot of the background because I wanted to save printer ink. If you notice, my hair really is absorbed into the background. So what I want to do, not necessarily painting over everything in layer 1, I'm adding water to the sides so that the alizarin crimson I'm putting down now is going to integrate with the surrounding area. I'll just kind of indicate some highlights here, which I know are in the photo. You, of course, are all working from screens, your photo references, I think, anyway. If I had my photo on the screen in front of me, I would have more detail. So I know that there are some highlights in the hair, which are now represented. And you notice wherever the brush lifts up, that's where the highest pigment is deposited, highest amount of pigment anyway. So there are different levels of this alizarin crimson. I want some areas to be stronger and more concentrated, and other areas not. So I'm still kind of painting in a loose fashion, almost sketching this out. I skipped a little bit of space there. I got to remember to really kind of work from top down. I want the unity. And remember, you're not thinking in terms of, I'm only painting skin right now, I'm only painting hair, I'm only painting clothing. You're applying this color all throughout. So if you've given one color to the hair, one color to the skin, you missed a main point of that first layer. You've got to have the unity in layer 1. It's harder to fake with the subsequent layers. And I'm also thinking like left to right as well. So I'm trying to unite the top and the bottom, the left and the right. I can't remember if it was your class, but I had talked about unification before. It might have been in a drawing assignment in a different class. I don't know why I just jumped to this inside of the mouth. I should really deal with the larger fields first, but I guess I got too excited here. Just wanted to look. It's even working as a shadow. So for everybody who initially saw their painting and they were like, "Oh, what a mess!" I would hope at this point in the semester, anyway, you know what's going to happen in terms of the process. But this is where we're going to start to establish clarity. We've done this. Past tense. We did this assignment for almost 10 years in AP, and I was sorry to let it go. But with the curriculum changes from College Board, it didn't fit into the goals of the course anymore. Much like the toy, our previous painting, which was hugely challenging. I think you're up for this, and your drawings are a strong foundation. So the layer 1s that I saw, I am definitely not going to do the plaid or gingham pattern there. I'm just going to pretend it's a solid color. The layer 1s that I saw, it looks like you've given yourself an appropriate foundation. So the key is not to lose that by overworking. So again, I'm very much sketching this out. My cardigan here, so establishing that line. But again, I want it to dissipate into the background. So I'm kind of just adding water here on the edge so that it will incorporate into the background. I don't want to lose everything I have. This is already so dark. If anything, it might be nice if the face rolls backward into that. Yeah, I really want a sense of emerging from the shadows, or, well, the shadows in my case, yours might be emerging from light. I'm going to carefully establish the silhouette of the face and have that roll into the existing background, because this is all so dark right now, but it will have the illusion of light. Gosh, that dried. That's a shame. It will have the illusion of light once I get more layers. The urge might have initially been to go in with your brush and start pulling highlights out. But I think as soon as you do that, you're going to ruin your painting. Even though this is all dark, it is still luminous. I do wish it was lighter and there was more yellow, but it's not. So that's just the way it turned out to this stage. And trying to send it back towards the white of the paper is just not going to work out. It would be to the detriment of the painting. I'm going to add some water here, and then maybe I'll just punch up the, just punch up the reds here. This might end up looking quite electric. Is my face supposed to cave in that much? Boy, I tell you, what a photo reference. This photo was originally taken as a demo for an assignment in Advanced Studio that we tried last year, and I just found it hanging around. But it checked all the boxes for the lighting we needed to establish. So I'm just trying to see if I'm missing any shadows. Just get that to distribute a little bit more. But remember, layer 2, you want to still cover a lot of surface area, but you don't want it to cover everything. So you've got to be kind of restrictive. Or selective, that's what I meant. So if I just kind of lean back a little bit here, engage, or even look at the screen, I got a huge concentration of red over here that seems like it's overpowering anything on this side. So while this is still wet, just for the sake of balance, I'm going to bring more of that red in over here, and then that might be it for layer 2, honestly. Because again, less is more, and I'm trying to establish a sense of, don't overdo it, listen to yourself. I'm trying to establish more of a sense of unity and clarity. So, all right, one last thing, very lightly here, because I'm noticing that the collar here, that falls into shadow, which I had initially neglected on layer 1. So bringing that over, actually very lightly just with water, bring that down. I like the little catch of the highlight, even though it's not present in the photo, kind of like that. And then just to establish the collar a little bit more, very lightly here. That fabric looks like it's puffing up instead of down. Well, yeah, you know why? Because the collar appears up there. That's why. That makes more sense. I'm just going to add a little bit more water here to repel some of the red so that this is slightly more pink, but not nearly as red as that. This might continue to drift, but yeah. It's a lot like yesterday, except you can see how many sections you've left untouched and dry. So if you end up with the entire surface of your painting soaking wet again, and then it's all active, there will kind of have been no purpose for your first layer because it'll be covered and maybe disrupted. So less is more, and it's hard to discipline yourself, but you have to put the brush down. Okay?
If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me via email. And in the meantime, please continue to practice social distancing, wash your hands, and wear a mask.